Wrecking Ball is a very unique tank. He's played completely different from every other tank in the game. He doesn't have the traditional space-making capabilities such as Reinhardt, D.Va, Sigma, Zarya. All of them simply make space with their defensive abilities, protecting their team, allowing them to get in. Wrecking Ball doesn't have any sort of protection for his team. Wrecking Ball makes space through distracting and disrupting the enemy team. All of his abilities are close range, so he's got to be in their team, melee range basically, to be able to get value out of these cooldowns. Ball is the most self-tanky character in the game. Although he doesn't have a 1600 HP shield like Reinhardt, he's got a lot of self-survivability with shields and movement. Ball is the first one to go into a fight for his team. If anyone else goes in first, they're probably going to get blown up and die. Now for your team to actually have space and be able to do anything as you play Ball, you need to initiate correctly. Initiating is the whole character. You could have the best movement, you could have insane tech skills on Ball, but if you don't know how to initiate, you're not going to go anywhere with those movements. His whole character is about initiating and doing something to their team so that your team can have an advantage. So this whole video is going to be about initiating. Sometimes I'm going to use the term engaging as well. They're the same thing though. So we're going to talk about 3 different kinds of engages: hard engaging, soft engaging, and a pick engage. And then we're going to talk about how and when and what to think about before you engage, what to do so you're not feeding, and then you're actually getting value on your abilities. So the first engage that I want to talk about is the hard engage. This is the engage where you're going to 4+ people, getting your big slam, 1200 HP, but you're also going to be taking all of the enemy's damage and cooldowns, the McCree flashbang, Ana cooldowns, just everything. Everyone's going to look at you and try to burst you down. So now, since you're going into all these people, unless they're playing a terrible comp with low damage and no CC, it is dangerous to do. So always have your shields. If you're going for a hard engage without shields, yeah, good luck. 600 HP is nothing against 6 enemies. You're just going to be dead. Sometimes shields might not even be enough, because shields from the enemy and Zarya bubbles can block the line of sight and make you get less shields. So to enable yourself even more, you can start to synergize with a second tank on your team. Yo, Zarya, bubble me. D.Va, DM, Winston, jump in at the same time as me. This is why Ball with Dive is just really good, because you're not the only one in there. You have a Winston, a D.Va, Genji, Tracer, any dive hero. They can help you, and you're not the only one being focused by the enemies. You can also hard engage to set up for ultimates. Ults like Mei ult, D.Va Bomb, Sigma Flux, or your own Minefield. You can hard engage, because they will die before they can blow you up. Here's a quick example. I see in the kill feed that I'm up 1. I can go in. I also have a Winston with me. So I get my shields, I get my health, I get trapped, and then grabbed, and then dragoned, but my Winston's backline, so they're not going to hard focus me, and I have healing. Now if the enemy team comp hard counters you, or you don't have synergy with your off tank to assist you, you don't have to still hard engage, and you don't have to feed. You can wait for an advantage, such as baiting cooldowns, or even just a pick, so it's a 5v6. Having an advantage makes it so much easier to hard engage. And this bridges into soft engaging. As the name implies, you're going in and out very quickly, you're not committing all of your resources, and you're just trying to get some value. You're not going to get max value, but you're just trying to get some value out of a quick time frame. A good way of describing this would be when you're doing your drive-bys, when you're just rolling through the enemy team to boop them. In a drive-by, you quickly go right through them, and by the time they notice you or react to the fact that you are playing Ball and you are booping them, they might not have time for the Ana to sleep you or the Hog to hook you. They might try, but since you just rolled right through them quickly, it's easy ult charge, and if they did try to stun you or something, they most likely will miss. And now in 5-6 seconds, you can go in again and know that you will not get all of their stuns, and you'll be more safe, and you have that advantage to then hard engage, like I mentioned. Just make sure you come from behind on your drive-bys. Don't ever go head-on, because then they'll have more time to react and stun you, or boop you. Another kind of soft engage would be stemming from your high ground, and then instantly grappling back up to the high ground, or out back to your team. There's a lot of defensive high grounds that you can stand on top of, and as the team's coming around a corner, around a choke, you can consistently slam them and put a lot of pressure on them. Dorado first point, playing on the red building, the choke point on Emerald first, and other maps and other spots like that. You don't only have to do this to bait cooldowns. There is still good kill potential on these soft engages. With your drive-bys, when you boop them out of their natural cover or in front of their shield, or when you slam them above their cover and shield, there is still good kill potential that your team can follow up on, while you are also safer. Try not to use your shields on soft engages, because then it doesn't become a quick engage because you have your shields, you gotta stay in and you won't be able to go in again in a long time. The soft engage is really good against your counters. There's like a brawl comp, a lot of stuns, just staying on that high ground and away from them at range. This can be good to bait cooldowns as well, so that you have an advantage for your next engage, because after you bait cooldowns, then you can hard engage. And sometimes you can do this just for ult charge. In this first clip here, it's the end of the fight, we've already won with capped. Now I go into their spawn, and I go for a slam. It looks like there's no value on this, but I have a Genji with me. Maybe he could have killed that Tracer, but really it was just getting ult charged because there was no threat of a fight coming anytime soon. Those cooldowns would be up again by the time the fight starts. In this one, I do a little rollout, and I get slapped. Now, I was planning on just doing a soft drive-by onto the backline there, but I get slapped. I didn't take any damage after that, so I used no cooldowns and got sleep out. So now I'm able to fully engage without the threat of that sleep. And my Doomfist and Winston are more free. Here you can see the entire team. I went just for a quick drive-by to bait some cooldowns out, but I was able to then isolate the Ana and then slam her into my Widow's line of sight. Our Widow didn't hit the shot because she wasn't looking, but the thought and the effort was still really good. And this kind of leads into the third engage, a pick engage. And the last kind of engage is the pick engage. This is when you punish an isolated target that doesn't have a team with them, either by killing them or forcing cooldowns. This is a really easy way to farm your low ranks because the team never plays together. You can find a DPS or a support playing alone, and you are able to win most 1v1s as ball against those characters. This is a quick picture of who you should be able to 1v1. All these people you should be able to kill before they even get you close to death. And the tanks, obviously, it's going to take you a while to kill them, but they don't really have any threat of killing you. And these ones are a little bit harder. Most of them you can win, it just depends on the cooldowns they have. If Echo has all her cooldowns, she's going to blow you up very fast. If Ana has Sleep and Nade, it's going to be a little bit harder. If Bap has Lamp, probably not going to kill him. But if they don't have those cooldowns, it's a lot easier to kill them. The ones on the left, you just have to play at range. They have shotguns, they do damage close up, just play at range and you should be able to win those fights. Against the tanks, it's going to take a little while, obviously, but you do out-trade them. And the ones in the middle are a little weirder. Doom and Torb, you want to know their cooldowns and play at range because they're dangerous close up. And Pharah is just Pharah. She doesn't normally pressure you, but she's a little harder to kill because you can't hit her with your cooldowns and your guns don't do much damage long range. The only one not included here is Bastion. Never 1v1 a Bastion, like come on man. Once you spot the isolated target that you think you can 1v1, you want to go into that fight knowing what cooldowns you should use and what cooldowns you might need. If it's a Widow, you shouldn't need your cooldowns. You can normally just shoot her down. But if she grapples away, then you're going to need your grapple to chase her. And if your aim isn't that good, you might have to slam her. But you should always plan ahead what cooldowns you need, just in case. If you can get away with not using your shields in that 1v1, that's really good, because after you get that kill, then you can go into that 5v6 with shields as well, giving you a major advantage. But if it's a 1v1 against a McCree, you probably need your shields, because he does a lot of damage with Flashbang, Fan the Hammer, Roll, Fan the Hammer. So just make sure you have your cooldowns that you need for the 1v1 before you go for the 1v1. But picks doesn't always mean you have to 1v1 solo kill an enemy. Widow 1v1s are common on a map like Junkertown, right? You don't need to solo the Widow. The Widows have an even 1v1, but if you help out your Widow, you can win that duel a lot more easily, because it doesn't really come a duel, it comes a 2v1. If you, as I mentioned in Soft Engage, you can boop her out of her corner, and then your Widow has an easier dink because the person's in the open. Or if you slam them above their cover, then they're following in a predictable pattern, and once again, your Widow can just dink them. You can also use this to force cooldowns. It's a different kind of forcing cooldowns though. On Soft Engages, you're forcing their stuns and the stuff that's going to kill you. But here, you're forcing the cooldowns that would stop them from dying early on. If you find a BAP that's by himself and you can force Lamp out, then just leave. He lamped, you can just leave, and now his team doesn't have Lamp for that 25 seconds, right? That's insane. Although you didn't kill him, your team got a major resource advantage. If you scout out a flanking Reaper, now it's a little scary, you don't want to fight a 1v1 Reaper, but if you just play at range and shoot at him and force him out of that position, and you force his Wraith, then he's not going to be going into your team for quite a while because he doesn't have Wraith. Same with a Tracer, if you can force her recall, she's not going to go into your team for a while because she doesn't have recall. And so just forcing these resources out can have major value. Now, unless you go into a 1v1 and hard whiff your aim and totally fail the 1v1, this is the safest way to get value with the lowest risk of dying. Now let's show some examples. Here I'm setting up. I know there's a Zen, and I know Zen is a free kill. The Ashe doesn't help him out, really, and I can quickly assassinate him and quickly get out without ever taking that much damage. This one I spy an isolated Widow. I go for her, and I use my cooldowns. I get slept, so I give up, because Yana's good appeal for her. Even though I didn't kill the Widow, I got a defensive cooldown like on a sleep out. This one looked like more of a soft engage or a hard engage, but when I isolated this Zarya, it's an easy boop and an easy pick for my team. Now, with all those engages being explained, you cannot just go in and do these whenever you feel like it. If you do, you're probably just going to be playing Walking Back from Spawn Simulator and maybe even be getting this message. If you want to live and have a successful engage, there is a lot of steps that you should think about. So I've narrowed them down to 3 quick steps. So number 1, cooldown check. You need to think about what cooldowns are in the whole game before every engage. A hard engage, a soft engage, or a pick engage. First you want to think about your own cooldowns. What cooldowns do I have? What cooldowns will I use? Depending on the engage we talked about earlier, will depend on what cooldowns you want to use. You also want to think about the enemy's cooldowns. What cooldowns do they have to counter me? What cooldowns am I going to take when I go in? Am I going to get stunned once, or am I going to get stunned 4 times? This changes how you play. You also want to think about your own team's cooldowns. What team cooldowns will I get to assist me so that I don't get blown up? Sometimes you want to pick engage mid-fight. You can't really go in on Ana when she's got her nade and sleep because it can be a little difficult to kill her. But mid-fight, if you see Ana use a sleep or a nade, or you hear a teammate call it, then you can quickly rush down and go try to kill the Ana because she doesn't have those cooldowns. So there's a lot of things you kind of have to keep track of. Number 2, value. What is the point of this engage? Am I doing it to get a kill? Am I doing it to bait cooldowns? Am I doing it to just farm small charge? Is there a reason that I'm doing this? Am I doing this just because I want to? Or will there actually be follow-up? Having a reason for your engages makes them worth your while. Because if you're doing them without a reason, then you're just wasting your resources for no reason. And when you actually need to engage, you might not have those resources. So make sure you have value or follow-up and a reason to engage. And the third one, feeding. If I do this engage right now, am I feeding? Now feeding doesn't just have to be dying. It could be you go in and you take a lot of damage. Yes, you live, but you kind of fed the enemy support ult charges with your damage and the enemy damage ult charges by them doing damage to you. Maybe by you going in, you're forcing your supports to pay a lot of attention to you to heal you back up. And now they don't have as much resources to heal the other people on their team. Or maybe you went in too early and you fed and wasted your cooldowns, so now you don't have them when you need them. So there's lots of different kinds of feeding. So no matter what engage you're looking to do, just remember these 3 quick ones in your mind, go through them, and your engages will be a lot more clean and purposeful. Now with all that said, that's all the information that I really have to give you guys, but I hope you guys could at least understand and learn something. And I hope with this information you guys can go into your ranked games, win more games, do better, get better at the hamster, and maybe even ranked people will stop hating on the ball and actually maybe we'll get a good rep soon. Probably not, but maybe, who knows.